will have the chance to steal the question for 1 point. We'll ask 10 questions, and at the end of the 10 questions, the person with the lowest score will get a bonus question for the opportunity to tie the score. If they are successful, the game will go to sudden death. Each contestant will take turns trying to answer the multiple choice question until we have a winner. Our reigning champion is Ricky Riccardi, a Louis Armstrong scholar, historian, and the winner of the 2022 Grammy Award for Best Album Notes. Our second contestant is 7-string guitar specialist Ron Jackson, who has performed, recorded, and taught music in over 30 countries and has been featured as a leader in jazz festivals all over the world, including the North Sea Jazz Festival, Edinburgh Jazz Festival, and Winter Jazz Fest in New York City. As usual, our reigning champion goes first. So, Ricky, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's get started. Ricky, name the Woody Herman Thundering Herd band saxophone player with whom Horace Silver worked as a young man. Was it A, Zoot Sims, B, Jimmy Giuffre, C, Stan Getz, or D, Serge Shaloff?
Let's try C, Stan Getz.
Yep, that's correct.
Oh, correct. I thought that was the wrong one.
Score one for Ricky. Ron.
Oh, okay.
Ron, where was the legendary Lenox School of Jazz located? The school where John Lewis and others invited Ornette Coleman's quartet for a seminar in 1959. Was the Lenox School of Jazz located in A, Lenox, New York, B, Woodstock, New York, C, Lenox, Massachusetts, or D, Boston, Massachusetts?
Oh, I have to think about that, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, it would be Lenox, Massachusetts.
Yep, that is correct. 4-1 for Ron Jackson.
Woo!
Ricky, which of the following saxophonists specialized in the soprano saxophone? Was it A, Steve Lacy, B, Sidney Bechet, C, Dave Liebman, or D, Jane Ira Bloom?
I feel like there's more than one correct answer. I'm going to go with B, Sidney Bechet.
That's not correct. Ron, you have a chance to steal this one. Which of the following saxophonists specialized in the soprano sax? Was it A, Steve Lacy, B, Sidney Bechet, C, Dave Liebman, or D, Jane Ira Bloom?
Jane Ira Bloom.
You are partially correct.
Wait a minute.
You are partially correct. There are actually two correct answers to that.
Wow.
The two correct answers are A, Steve Lacy, and B, Jane Ira Bloom.
I know she's a specialist, but I knew Steve Lacy was, but I thought her. But anyway.
What disqualified Bechet? He played it for 40 years.
He played the clarinet before he played the soprano sax.
He played both, yeah.
But then okay.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
I won't play under protest.
Ron.
Okay.
Who was the author of the acclaimed book on the history of the Association for the Advancement of Creative Musicians, or AACM?
Oh.
Was it A, Amiri Baraka, B, Lester Bowie, C, Muhal Richard Abrams, or D, George Lewis?
Oh, man. Let me think about this. Oh, man. I would have to say Muhal Richard Abrams.
I'm sorry, that is incorrect.
Ah.
Ricky, you have a chance to steal this one. Who was the author of the acclaimed book on the history of the Association for the Advancement of Creative Musicians, or AACM? Was it A, Amiri Baraka, B, Lester Bowie, C, Muhal Richard Abrams, or D, George Lewis?
Let's try D, George Lewis.
Yep, that is correct.
Oh, wow.
George Lewis wrote the book, The History of the AACM.
Wow. Okay.
Ricky. So Ricky steals that one. Ricky, you're up next. Prior to founding the classic hit-making band known as Earth, Wind, and Fire, Maurice White was the drummer in the band of what NEA Jazz Master? Was it A, Ramsey Lewis, B, Ahmad Jamal, C, Kenny Barron, D, Billy Taylor?
I'm going to try A, Ramsey Lewis.
Yep, that is correct. It was Ramsey Lewis.
I could have got that one.
Jazzology is brought to you by Savage Content, an exciting new purveyor of quality music programming. From podcasts to live performances and interviews, Savage Content offers an eclectic mix of curated entertainment programming for all music lovers. Be sure to follow Savage Content on social media to hear about our latest releases. And now it's time to ask our contestants our favorite question. How did you fall in love with jazz? Ricky, tell us again how you fell in love with jazz.
Yeah, it's an easy answer. When I was 15, I saw Louis Armstrong in the movie The Glenn Miller Story. Began checking out his 1950s recordings, had my life changed right then and there, and somehow turned that into a career, writing books on Armstrong, running the Armstrong archives, right up to this day, all Armstrong all the time. So it's been quite a journey.
And Ron Jackson, how did you fall in love with jazz?
Well, when I was a kid, I used to be a rock guitar player, but then one of my friends in high school told me, hey, man, you should check out these bands like Pat Metheny and, George Benson and Miles Davis. And I actually went to see Miles Davis play with that great band with Marcus Miller, Mike Stern, all these people. And guess who the warm-up band was? Pat Metheny.
Uh-oh.
I know. So it was an amazing day. And, that I got into jazz and could never look back anymore.
And you got hooked up, huh? All right. Well, Ron, you're up next.
Okay.
In what city did the great Fats Waller broadcast his famous radio program? Was it A, New York, B, Cincinnati, C, Detroit, or D, Chicago?
Oh, my. Oh, okay. Oh, let me think. I would have to say C, Detroit.
Ricky, you have a chance to steal this one. In what city did the great Fats Waller broadcast his famous radio program? Was it A, New York, B, Cincinnati, C, Detroit, or D, Chicago?
That would be B, Cincinnati.
That is correct. Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah.
Fats Waller broadcast his famous radio program. Ricky, the annual Tri-C JazzFest is presented in what city? Is it A, Chicago, B, Cleveland, C, Minneapolis, D, Charlotte?
I'm probably going to give this one to Ron. but I'll go down swinging. I'll say I'm gonna say D, Charlotte.
Yeah. Ron, the annual Tri-C JazzFest is presented in which of these cities? A, Chicago. B, Cleveland. C, Minneapolis. D, Charlotte.
I would have to say Chicago.
Oh, so you both got it wrong. The Tri-C JazzFest is annually presented in Cleveland, Ohio.
Wow.
Okay, Ron, you're up next.
Uh-oh.
NEA Jazz Master vocalist Nancy Wilson is from which Ohio city? Is it A, Columbus, B, Painesville, C, Yellow Springs, or D, Chillicothe?
Oh, wow. Oh, man.
Now, you just left Ohio. You got to get this one, man.
Oh, my God. I haven't heard most of these towns, but I'll just have to say Columbus.
Ricky, you have a chance to steal this one.
See, I don't get it.
NEA Jazz Master vocalist Nancy Wilson is from which Ohio city? Is it A, Columbus, B, Painesville, C, Yellow Springs, or D, Chillicothe?
Let's say D.
Yep.
Woo.
Nancy Wilson,
Whoa.
Chillicothe, Ohio. And now come on, did you just pull that out of your hat, or was that
I just pulled it out. It looked too strange.
Okay, Ricky, you're up next. The Dave Brubeck Quartet made many performances on college campuses. On which of the following campuses did they make one of their most famous live concert recordings? Was it A, Stanford University, B, College of the Pacific, C, Oberlin College, or D, UCLA?
I think this is another one with multiple answers, but I'm going to go with B, College of the Pacific.
Yep.
That is correct, and you're right. There are two correct answers to that. You could have also said Oberlin College.
Wow.
So, Ron, the band known as the Jazztet was co-led by trumpeter and flugelhornist Art Farmer and which other musician? Was it A, Hank Mobley, B, Zoot Sims, C, Jimmy Heath, or D, Benny Golson?
Benny Golson.
That is correct. That is correct. Art Farmer and Benny Golson were the co-leaders of the band known as the Jazztet. And where are we score-wise? So now Ron gets the bonus question to get a chance to catch up.
Okay.
The great poet Langston Hughes once collaborated on a recording project with which of the following jazz composers?
Wow.
Was it A, Duke Ellington, B, Quincy Jones, C, Gil Evans, D, Randy Weston, or E, Charles Mingus?
Oof, man. Let me think. I'll have to go with Randy Weston.
Hey, you over there. Let me tell you something.
is correct. And this was another of our trick questions because there were actually two correct answers to this question. Because Randy Weston collaborated with Langston Hughes on his classic Uhuru Africa project.
I played on that.
But also, Charles Mingus provided the music for the only recording with music that Langston Hughes made. So you could have answered either Randy Weston or Charles Mingus. So now we go into sudden death.
Oh boy.
And Ricky is up first.
Uh-oh.
Ricky, which of the following jazz radio personalities was honored with a Charlie Parker tune title? Was it A, Symphony Sid, B, Mort Fega, C, Oscar Treadwell, D, Sid Marks, or E, none of the above?
I'm going to say C, Oscar Treadwell.
Yep.
That is correct. That is correct. And once again, Ricky Riccardi is our champion.
Oh, what? Oh. Woo. That was Ricky wins? Okay.
Congratulations to Ricky Riccardi on your win. And if anyone watching would like to become a contestant on Jazzology, we'd love to hear from you. Follow us on social media at Savage Content, as you see on the screen, and send a message letting us know. You must be 18 years or older. Thanks so much to both Ricky Riccardi and Ron Jackson, and to everyone who joined us today. Remember, you can check us out every other Friday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you missed the show live, you can find the archive on our Jazzology YouTube channel. I'm Willard Jenkins. Join us again next time for another edition of Jazzology.
Thank you.
Thanks.